that we're going to be talking about the quality of provision in terms of three phases: IAG, teaching and learning, and assessment. So let's look first at initial advice and guidance. It'll be very true that initial advice and guidance procedures will change in terms of the context of each course, but I think that you may consider initial advice and guidance in terms of some simple common factors which should be available in all situations. The first thing you would want to consider is the who of the course. Did gender have an effect on the quality of the provision? Did the pathways in, that's the source of the students before they came to you, were there a lot of progression students from a lower level of course, and did that have an impact on quality of provision? The ages of the learners. Some learners may be very young, some learners be older, and that will have an effect on the quality of provision in terms of the way in which the course is run. What about difficulties? Difficulties tend to fall into two classifications: learning difficulties and physical difficulties. Now, learning difficulties will often be supported by additional learning support in the classroom, and physical difficulties will be supported by making reasonable adjustments to the facilities that you teach in and how you address the learning process. What effect will these have had, once again, on quality of provision? The last factor I think you should look at is the criteria for the course itself, the pre-entry requirements. What entry standards did you set? Did you get more rigorous in terms of what you'd done in the past, and did this have an effect on the quality of the provision? What about exceptions? Did you make any exceptions to those entry standards? Did that have an impact? Most courses will be based on a presumed destination. It will be an aspect of your planning that your course will take your learners to a predefined destination in most cases, obviously not in all. For example, a level 3 course should be designed to take a learner to higher education or into a good job. These factors here will all have an effect on the quality of provision. And I'll show you a statement now which was a strength statement from a CRAE based on initial advice and guidance, and we'll talk about how that statement was constructed so that it becomes an effective, fair and adequate statement within a CRAE. So here's a link to two statements. One's a strength statement and one's an area for improvement statement. So let's consider the strength statement and work out what it is that it needs to be in order to be a satisfactory statement in a CRAE. But before we do that, let's talk about what we mean by initial advice and guidance. It's the set of processes you'll go through to make sure that the students are on the right course. We all know that if you get the student on the right course, it is much more likely that they will stay on the course and succeed. So we make a statement about how our initial advice and guidance went and what impact it had as a strength on the quality of provision. The quality team in the college are great at producing some good lists of vocabulary that you can use in statement making. So here what I've said is that there was highly effective initial assessment which informed teaching and learning activities. Highly effective, I'm saying it's a strength. One thing I'm going to add, if you're going to put something into a strength, you can't then criticize it as an area for improvement. We're going to work on that a little bit later as well. So how am I going to justify this? I'm sitting in the SAR panel and Peter looks over his glasses and says, highly effective initial assessment informed teaching and learning. How do you know that to be true? So we stop him off at the pass and we provide him with the evidence that he can get from the data at the back of the CRAE report which support this statement. Because of the initial assessment, 93% retention, which is above benchmark, 100% of learners with learning difficulties, 100% of achievement for learners with learning difficulties, etc. Highly qualified teaching staff is going to have an effect on the way in which the initial advice and guidance is managed. 100% satisfaction. They were on the right course. 98% satisfaction in the teaching and learning survey. Strong evidence of E&D consideration in observed lessons. If you want to look at my OTLSA, you will see that I'm telling you that there is strong evidence of E&D, which is based on our assessment that we made at the initial advice and guidance stage. We know our students and we're able to accommodate their E&D needs. Outstanding challenge noted in lessons. We know the expected attainment of our learners, so we're able to pitch our stretch and challenge at the right level. Now, it's important to say that some of these statements here that we've used in this particular section here, where I'm making a statement about initial assessment, may also have an impact in other areas. So you may find that some of these statements are either repeated or reworded in different sections of the CRAE report. That's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. We've made our strength statement, but we must make sure that our statement stands up to scrutiny. It has to be verifiable, capable of being tested or verified by experiment or observation. Whoever wants to test it can go away and look up the data, and they will find that the data that we're making our statement from supports the statement that we make. So let's look back at the statement that we made and the evidence that we used to support it. I want to look at the evidence statements particularly. Evidence statements will be factual and comparative. We are saying that 93% in 1 year, 100% in the second year are what we achieved in terms of retention. The national benchmark is this. We are saying we got well above benchmark. This is undoubtedly a strength, and we say that that has happened because of our initial assessment. A percentage. Highest grade, undoubted, it can be verified. Qualified, 100% satisfaction, 98% satisfaction. In observed lessons, noted in lessons. So all of these statements which we are providing as evidence are verifiable. They go to support this strength statement, and they give empirical evidence of what we're saying.